First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Dibler. Thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate it. We are live streaming here every weekday, starting around 1 p.m. Pacific, covering a wide range of topics. Right now, though, we're going to be talking about something coming up this weekend, and that is the return of Formula E to Portland for the Grand Prix. That's going to be happening. 2 races taking place over this weekend, and a lot associated with that. We were able to sit down with the CEO of Formula E. Well, sit down. I'm standing up, but you know what I mean. To speak to the CEO of Formula E, Jeff Dodds, and just walk through the expansion of the sports, some of the different aspects of it, the technical side of it, and just what it means to see this go through here in PDX. So we're going to talk to him about that. Without further ado, here's Jeff Dodds, CEO of Formula E. Thank you so much for being here today. You know, really excited. Formula E returning to Portland for the second year in a row. 2 races happening this weekend, and I know we've been talking about it a lot this week, but exciting to have it here. And you know, thanks for bringing it back to Portland. What was it about Portland in particular that made you want to come back here for again for this year?
Hey, Greg. Well, thanks for having me as well. So we had a spectacular race in Portland last year. So I think we went into that with not really knowing what to expect from the race circuit. Obviously, very famous race circuit when it comes to IndyCar, but taking our Formula E series to it for the first time, we weren't really sure what to expect. And last season was a massive success for us. So not only the actual on-track racing, but also a lot of IndyCar fans turned up to watch the race. They were very impressed, I think, by what they saw from the car racing, but also the infrastructure and the investment we put into the racetrack. So we had a great race last year, and we are coming to the penultimate racing weekend of the season. We'll do these 2 races in Portland, and then we head off to London for the final race of the season. So we're very much at the sharp end of the racing season.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it really is, you know, a lot coming down to this, and we've been talking to some other people about Formula E and about how, you know, it's not decided yet who's going to win, who's going to be
far from it.
And that's what makes it a lot of fun as well, because it means everybody's competing for something, and there really is a lot on the line when it comes to this weekend.
Yeah, Greg, look, I think in our 9 seasons we've had so far, this is our 10th season. In the 9 seasons we've had so far, we've had 8 different winners. And in the vast majority of those, they've come down to the last race of the season. So as we head into Portland, there's still effectively 100 points up for grab, 25 points for each race win. And the championship leader at the moment is a chap called Nick Cassidy, racing for the Jaguar team. And Nick is only leading by 25 points from second place. So not that I would wish this on him at all, but if Nick weren't to finish this race and the second place person won the first race in Portland, we're all square with 3 races to go. So highly competitive process.
Well, you mentioned, you know, how many seasons that Formula E has been around, and just to look back at that, you know, over these 10 years or so that this has been going, how have you seen, I guess, the progression of technology, but also how have you seen the changing mindset from those who are fans of combustion engine racing? You know, the stereotype, like, oh, that's not real racing, or people saying something like that about the kind of technology. How have you seen that mindset change, or are those people still being convinced as we go?
So let's first of all talk about the tech. So we're 10 years in. The technology has developed so quickly over those 10 years. It's unbelievable when you think back on the first races. So first race 10 years ago in Beijing, maximum speed of the car would have been about 140 miles an hour. It got to 60 miles an hour in about 3.5 seconds. But the battery lasted for half the race. So we had this kind of crazy thing where the cars would come in, the drivers would jump out of one car, jump into a second car to complete the second half of the race. The car we announced in Monaco this year, which will be on the tracks from December this year, so for next season, 200 miles an hour. The battery, obviously lasting for the full race, will be all-wheel drive for the first time and gets to 60 miles an hour in just 1.8 seconds, which is about 30% faster than the Formula One car. So the development of the technology has been unbelievable. And we're still very much in the infancy of it. I mean, I was saying to somebody earlier today, Greg, that, you know, the internal combustion engine, which is the engine used in Formula One and in the majority of road cars today, that's been around since, I think, 1896. It's 130 years old. The first time you saw an EV on the roads with a vision of mass market or scaled rollout was about 2008. So we're very much at the foothills of the technology, developing so incredibly rapidly. But your point and your question about fan base is very interesting. So I think motorsport fans love speed. So as the cars over the years have become faster and more competitive and more comparable, and in some cases faster than traditional racing series like NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, I think the eyes of the motorsport fan have begun to open wider because they love fast things, they love fast cars. Now, I'm not naive. I know there is an element of the motorsports fan base that loves the roar of the engine, loves to listen to V10s and V8s. You're not going to get that with an electric vehicle, as we know. It's a much quieter experience. And if I'm really honest, I've stopped trying to convince all of them that they should love this sport because they're quite a hard audience to convince. And we're now up to 400 million fans around the world. We're growing incredibly rapidly, the fastest growing motorsport in the world, and we're growing that with a new fan base to motorsport. Around half our fan base globally are women. Around half our fan base globally under the age of 40. So we're attracting a different type of audience. I would love to convince and convert some of that traditional audience, but my focus is very much on this new audience to motorsport.
Why is it that you think that is? What's bringing them in if they weren't necessarily racing fans before, but now they are of this Formula E? What is it about it that's so attractive to them?
I think there's three things. I think when we talk to them, and we talk a lot to our fan base, we listen a lot to our fan base, they're very interested in sustainability. And we're obviously a net zero racing series, been net zero from day zero. Sustainability is a core part of our philosophy. We are the #1 sport in the world for sustainability. So I think that's attracted a different type of fan base. The second is they're really interested in innovation and technology. So the fact that we are with cutting edge technology, next generation of automotive technology, I think is very interesting to that audience. The other thing that's really interesting is the competitiveness of the racing, which you talked about earlier. So I'll give you an example. In Monaco this year, we raced in Monaco. There's been a lot of noise in the press about the Monaco street circuit. It's been races there for 95 years, but is it still able to provide competitive style of racing? And the reason those questions are asked is because when Formula One raced there this year, I think amongst the top 10 drivers, there were 0 overtakes. We delivered a race with over 200 overtakes in Monaco because the racing series is so competitively matched, and this kind of close combat style of racing is very exciting for people. So I think it's a combination of very exciting racing, very competitive, no clear runaway winner, emerging technology, and the fact that we're doing all of that and maintaining our position as the #1 motorsport in the world for sustainability.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned earlier just about how, the combustion engine has been around since the 1800s, so they've had all that time to progress. But with the technology behind Formula E and behind, electric vehicles, it seems like that progression is exponential. So like when you look at it like 5-10 years from now, do you have a vision of how you see Formula E being?
So I could tell you factually because we run in generations, and those generations are 4 years long. So we're in generation 3 at the moment, and we have the Gen 3 Evo, the evolution of Gen 3, which is the car that will be launched for the end of this year. That will run for 2 years, and it won't surprise you that we already know pretty accurately what the next generation of car will look like and how it will perform. Now, there's still a lot of work to bring it to life, but we know pretty much what the specification of it is. So I already know what that car is, and it's pretty mind-blowing, if I'm honest with you. If you think about where we are today with technology, the improvements and the increases in power and efficiency and design and performance that comes with that next generation car is pretty mind-blowing. So to even think beyond that, what might come in Gen 5, I mean, I think it will be pretty staggering for the fan base when they see that car on the track.
I love seeing that kind of progression too, just the combination of technology and sports and having, as you mentioned, it's evenly matched. You get to see people really competing, but that's a lot of things all coming together into one thing. So I can see why more and more people are coming to be fans of it. Well, for the fans here in Portland, coming out here, this weekend to watch it, say they've never been to a race before, never been to a Formula E race or maybe any race, what can they expect walking out there at PIR when it comes to this Formula E Grand Prix?
Yeah, so look, PIR, first things first, and these are not my words, this is what the fans told me last year when we came. I think if they've been to the PIR before to watch an IndyCar race, I think they might be surprised by the level of infrastructure that's there, the big fan village, the hospitality, just the level of investment that comes with a Formula E race. So that would be the first thing. If they haven't been to a Formula E race, they should expect a slightly quieter experience on the ears, which means whoever they take to watch it with, they'll be able to talk to them during the race, which is a nice surprise. But the racing itself should be pretty compelling. So the PIR, very famous for delivering some of the closest results in IndyCar history. In fact, one of our teams, Greg, is the Andretti team. Michael Andretti will be there. And I think it was back in 1986 where his father, Mario, overtook him literally to beat him by millimeters, I think, over the finish straight. So it's delivered some incredibly compelling and exciting racing. Last year, we had a very exciting race. 400 overtakes. We delivered our highest speeds of the season for Formula E at the PIR. So there is absolutely no reason why they shouldn't expect to see that again in Portland this year. And they get to see it over 2 days because we have the double header in Portland, which is race on Saturday, race on Sunday, qualification for both days on the same day. And yeah, it will be and slightly different races as well on Saturday and Sunday, slightly different number of laps. So what they won't get is a repeat on Sunday of the Saturday race. They get to see 2 completely different strategies.
Interesting, yeah, and that's what it is too. Just a reminder, yeah, 2 separate races, all there coming up to, as you mentioned, the penultimate races here for the season, and it's going to be right here in Portland. Well, Jeff, thank you very much, for taking some time to talk to us. Really appreciate
My absolute pleasure.
It's a lot of fun seeing the expansion of this and just what you're doing with it and what the whole team is doing with it. And yeah, we appreciate your time and good to see you back here in Portland.
Yeah, great stuff. See you all there at the weekend.
A huge thank you to him there for having some time to talk to us. We do appreciate that. And, it's always interesting learning more about things like this, and that combination of technology and sport to me is really exciting. But people will have a chance to check it out in person over the weekend. And again, this is Fox 12 Now. We're live here every weekday. So thank you very much for being a part of this. You can check out all of our past episodes at kptv.com. Just click on the Fox 12 Now link, or of course you can download the Fox 12 Oregon app. That is another way to do so as well. If you have any suggestions, feel free to send me an email, fox12now@kptv.com. That's fox12now@kptv.com, and let me know what that is. But I will talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.